You're listening to the Heroes Power Hour presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan Zexorus and DJ Tyrant. Welcome everyone to the Heroes Power Hour. We are a Heroes of the Storm podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. Today is September 12th, 2017. We are on episode 117. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, DJ Tyrant. With me is the crew. We're going to go around, see how everyone's week in gaming has been. First, we are going to start off with Zexorus. How have you been, my friend? How has Heroes been treating you?
Heroes has been treating me all right. But hey, guys, guess what?
What?
What kind of hair extensions do they sell at IHOP?
What kind?
Extensions.
I'll tell you the
fan,
same
how's your
things
week?
I told JR. No. Good.
That one wasn't even good.
I mean, none of them are
Get
good.
up. All right.
I mean, that's the same quality as all the others, Carl. Let's
No,
not
it's not.
judge them on
Because-
a joke-by-joke basis.
Because
They're
he said,
all
like,
awful.
what kind of extensions? And then just said extensions.
So here's another one. What time does
See what you did?
what time does a sandwich cook?
What time?
What time?
When it's bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
No.
Can someone in chat
Yeah.
explain that for us? Anyways, we're moving on to Balrog fan. How has your week been in Heroes?
It's pretty good. Really enjoying the game. Just trying to kind of up my Stukov game has been my focus lately. The periodic ticks can be tough to manage sometimes, and figuring out when to spread them and who gets the initial heal first. Because of the way it decays off, you know, you have to figure in who needs the bio trigger the most. So usually you want that to be your second target. So a lot of the times I'll make myself the target just to spread the heals properly in the way I want. But it also makes me wish that Universal Carrier wasn't on the same tier talent as Pax Puxley, because I feel like I would use out of a Universal Carrier in the way that I like to heal with him. So it's just a learning process. Just learning Stukov things.
Yeah, most definitely. He's really good right now, I feel like. And
Oh, he's so... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, oh, yeah, I was just going to move on to P-Flame G, but if you want to talk a little bit about how awesome Stukov is, we can.
No, I was just going to say, he's so
Yeah.
with that silence. That's all.
Yeah. Anyways, P-Flame G, how has your week been in games?
It's been good. I have avoided Hero League for the last week of the season and the first week of the season, which are usually terrible times to play it. So I'm going to jump in this next week and try and do my placements. I don't know if I'll finish L10. Grad school kind of picked up, and I'm going home this weekend to see family. So, but I'll get a couple Hero League games in. Should be good.
I haven't touched Hero League either, but yeah, we've been we just played our pre-show games, and those were a lot of fun. And I hadn't played the new Jaina yet, but she seems pretty good. I like the way she plays now. Q build still works, and I feel like not too much has changed on her base kit. Just kind of improved or made improvements to her base kit. Basically, is what kind of came out of that rework.
I know you were probably struggling with the same thing I did off the rework, is the weight that they put on hitting her skill shots now. You used to be able to miss some and it wasn't a big deal because you were just going to reset and try to trap again, but now you kind of have to consistently hit them to build that ice block quest, which that's going to be the major adjustment for players like you and me who generally played her just primarily as a trapper.
Yeah, most definitely. Nothing programming wise to note. We're just kind of trucking along here on the Heroes Power, but no news really from the world of Heroes of the Storm. But we do have a really interesting, I think, solo queue tier list from McIntyre to discuss. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. This is up on our friends over at Heroes Hearth. And McIntyre put out this really interesting list that I think we can spend a lot of time discussing. Is broken down by different tiers. But tier 1, I think the expected suspects there for solo queue: Garrosh, ETC, Rhaegar, Kel'Thuzad, Greymane, and Tassadar, with the note that these are the strongest heroes to choose early and late, never bad. What are your guys' thoughts on this? This is probably more akin to Masters GM level play, but...
Yeah, so I wanted to make a point about that. We were talking in our group chat this week about Kel'Thuzad, and Elena mentioned how every time she has a Kel'Thuzad on her team, she loses horribly, and it's terrible. And she's like, man, he's so bad, I want to ban him away from my teammates. And I've been talking also with Bacon, a friend of the show who's on the Gankbush squad. And he's a Masters player. And he's like, Kel'Thuzad is OP. He's crazy. And McIntyre agrees. And he's a very high skill cap hero. And like extremely reliant on hitting your combos. Because if you don't complete his quest, he's bad. And if you don't actually land your combo and like one-shot somebody, he's bad. But you can one-shot somebody. So, in the hands of these Masters tier players, Kel'Thuzad is insane.
I'd also like to throw out there that in Tier 1, the qualifier for being a Tier 1 hero is strongest heroes to choose early and late, never bad. That's an important distinction from Tier 2, where he says wins fights for teams, don't need a real team. Both tiers contain good heroes. It's just how he qualifies separating Tier 1 from Tier 2 is how pickable and what phase they are and how strong they are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a lot of bad advice from somebody suddenly.
Yeah, you're going to want to...
Willie, what was Willie?
Yeah, you're going to want to prioritize these heroes definitely in your meta for Hero League.
I mean, can you think of
I don't know if
anybody...
you can ban Rhaegar. I don't know how easy it would be to ban Rhaegar over the other heroes early.
I guess the point of Rhaegar is his mobility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the highest levels, that's very important. He is probably the easiest to keep up with rotations and create situations for his team that, can get somebody picked off and whatnot. I guess that feels right when you're saying, Grandmaster and pick that hero anywhere. Certain supports, I don't think Stukov and Uther are those supports, but other supports can kind of tip your team comp a bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Kel'Thuzad, yeah, like Carl was saying, just can be a monster at those high skill cap ratings, and I almost feel like he kind of fills a similar role to Medivh when he was first released, where it was like, oh, he's a really cool hero. He's just super high skill cap, so he's going to be really good at higher ranks, but in the lower ranks, just not going to be nearly as effective.
Yeah, I mean, not quite, because I think Medivh scales better with coordination than skill.
Yeah.
Right, like Medivh is better if you're in a fives team and then solo, regardless of your rank. And Kel'Thuzad is about the same between a fives and a solo, but scales really hard with your rank. But definitely not every time you're gonna want to play him.
Hey, Zach, it sounds like you got your audio. So
I don't know if I agree with Garrosh and ETC being tier 1 over Arthas and Anubarak. Like the Dahaka, I'll give him that. Like, but Garrosh, I feel like he falls off pretty hard late game. ETC, I mean, yeah, you can make an argument to me about it, and I probably will go, yeah, you're right. But I feel like Arthas and Anubarak just bring really more to the table than what ETC does overall.
I don't think you're wrong, and honestly, I think the way these tier lists are worded, because I missed the qualifier for this tier 1 thing, because I had a lot of disagreements about it at first, but ETC and Garrosh basically go on any team, and Arthas and Anubarak kind of tip that you're going to be trying to gank or dive, so taking them first isn't as viable sometimes, I would imagine, at those high levels.
Yeah, Arthas is a really good counter initiation tank. Anubarak's really good heavy dive tank.
And my concern with Garrosh being tier 1 is just that I feel like as a solo tank he really struggles. But I don't know, maybe that's okay in Hero League.
Yeah, he's definitely not the strongest solo lane. He's probably the worst solo lane tank. Like, he's got tons of sustainability, but you're not going to push out the lane.
Oh yeah, no.
The
way
Wave
your four man.
The way Arthas would, the way Dahaka would. I mean, even Anubarak's better at pushing out a lane than Garrosh is, because his Q just doesn't do enough damage to a wave to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, those are like, I mean, Rhaegar, yeah, incredibly strong right now. His ability to solo camps is just unparalleled for a support. Tassadar is probably the best fake support in the game. The faux support.
I really think they need to change Garrosh's Q hitbox.
Why? What's wrong?
That's the pullback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first saw the skill, I thought that's really cool. It's going to be this really high skill expression skill. And I honestly think it's harder to miss than it is to hit.
No, it's pretty hard to hit. You've got to pay attention because, like, okay, tonight when we were playing our games, you saw me dodge that one pull because I ran towards him and then ran away, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can play around it, but I just...
Yeah, no, it's a lot more difficult to hit than it looks. Like, at least to hit it consistently. Like, you've gotta aim where they're going, where you think they're going. You've got to read your opponent. Like, Garrosh is read heavy in order to effectively utilize that Q in his throw. So, I honestly think the hitbox on that is fine. It may get adjusted, but like for me, I think that hitbox is more than fair.
I would say looking at this tier list too, just to jump in for a second, that I would say the distinction between tier 1 and tier 2 is very thin. Like, most of those heroes in tier 2 are very close to breaking into tier 1.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about the heroes in tier 2, we'll kind of discuss more what those heroes, or what heroes should be maybe in tier 1. And to transition to that, tier 2 heroes that McIntyre has listed: Arthas, Dahaka, Sonya, Nubrak, Vala, Li Ming, Jaina, Malthael, Zul, Stukov, Uther, Tyrande, and Genji, number 1 player killer. The distinction for this is, as Charlie pointed out, wins fights for team and doesn't need a real team. So you can pick these kind of any phase of the draft, and I think still slot in okay, considering the role distribution, if there's not already 2 supports or 2 warriors or whatever. Stukov I almost would place higher in just the games I've played, but also I'm lower MMR, so maybe it's a result of that. I don't know. What do you think, Charlie? Because you've played a ton of Stukov, more than me, I think.
Stukov doesn't work against comps that are going to burst you down. He just can't get the healing out, so that's always going to be his problem. He's if you pick him too early and the team decides to respond with a ton of bursts, you need to back him up with another support. So I'd say tier 2 is fine for him. I'd say someone not in tier 2 that I feel like should be, and then Carl can kind of, because he plays her, but Lunara feels really, really good right these days, and I'm surprised she's not in there with the likes of Li Ming and Vala.
She does feel really good. I think part of it is that she's kind of a niche pick. Like, there aren't a whole lot of Lunara players out there, and the ones that play her very well.
But that shouldn't affect tier ratings for solo picking.
It does, because if you've got a 10% pick rate, that means people who don't play Li Ming are picking her, right? And if she's still performing in the hands of somebody like that, and that means she's a really good hero. She's a tier 2 hero. I don't know if Lunara had a 10% pick rate that she'd have the win rate she has.
Okay.
Because if you're only being played by people who are specialized in that character, your win rate and like how good you appear is going to be inflated.
Zex, I mean, is there anyone in this tier 2 that you disagree with or you think should maybe find their way in? I mean,
this is a pretty solid tier 2. Like I said, I had my arguments for the 3 tanks maybe being tier 1, but I mean, for the most part, like he's got this pretty right. Like these people will just win fights for your team. They're the solid, control, damage, support that you need to help your team win those fights. Tehran surprises me, but then again, like
she can kind of hyper carry though.
I've seen some really, really good Tehran play recently.
Yeah,
she's good.
And that's why I'm not really like gonna argue against it. It's just surprising to me. And hey, Kat. And yeah, no, Zul also surprises me.
Zul does kind of surprise me, but I think he's pretty effective when he does get picked. I could argue the same thing about Zul as I do for Lunara.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Zul and Lunar are both battleground dependent though. Like pretty heavy.
You definitely want Zul on a smaller map where he can open up the dual soak lane option for your team, while the four of you push another lane, because that 4 in one lane just draws all the focus, and they have to, do something about the 4 because it's just Zul in one lane. Is soaking 2 lanes.
I think what's interesting about this tier list is that the 3 heroes I kind of play in each of the tank, support, and damage role are all in here. Vala, Stukov, and Anubarak when I'm playing Hero League. That seems to be kind of who I gravitate towards as far as those heroes. And obviously I'm much lower MMR than McIntyre, but I find it interesting how that matches up.
These are really good heroes regardless. I think nobody's going to complain if you pick a tier 2 hero.
Yeah, these are the heroes where if somebody says, I only play, Vala, and they lock them in first pick, you go, oh, well. And now, if they start off and they say, I only play Gazlo and lock them in first pick, then that's a whole different conversation. But tier 2, yeah, generally most of those heroes are pretty widely accepted. And it's for good reason. They're all pretty good heroes.
Yeah, I feel like you could argue Genji maybe a tier 1 as well, but
these are all heroes that at least tip some sort of strategy. I notice, like all the heroes in tier 1, you just know they're good heroes and they go with anything and they don't tell you what the team is doing other than picking really good heroes that aren't banned yet.
Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts on tier 2 before we kind of move on?
I mean, just one thing to that Greymane. I mean, if you open with a Greymane pick, you don't know for sure what they're doing. Greymane complements almost any team out there. Sure, they could be focusing Greymane, but Greymane could also just be, well, we banned Garrosh, they banned Rhaegar, or they banned Kel'Thuzad, let's take our damage.
What support does he go with? He works well with Rhaegar, Tassadar, Uther, Abathur he works really well with. I mean, it's just... Yeah, definitely one of those heroes that's super flexible as far as what he works well with.
I am surprised to see Varian fall all the way to the... he's not even in tier 3. I thought he was in tier 3. Holy crap. Okay.
No.
Well,
tier 3 though, Lunar, Murden, Leoric, Tyrael, Johanna, Gul'dan, Diablo, Falstad, Alarak, Thrall, Sylvanas, Nazeebo, Cassia, Illidan, Kharazim, and Lucio, with the note that these help teams toward victory and are strong picks.
Yeah, I feel like that seems pretty fair for the description with the heroes you just named off. I don't know that Illidan should be there anymore, but I don't know. I just feel like Illidan's fallen out of favor. I don't see him nearly as much as I used to, especially now that people are
still good in the right comp.
Okay. But helps teams towards victory, strong picks.
We're reaching the close to the tier of depends on the comp. I feel like.
Well,
I mean,
okay,
a lot of
hold
these
on,
picks
hold
depend
on,
on the
hold
comp.
on, hold on. Look at the previous tiers. Okay, so let's look at Illidan. Let's see what complements Illidan in the 2 tiers above him. You got Uther. Even Tehran helps out. Zul complements him. Vala definitely complements him by being able to, spread damage out over people. Arthas complements him. Dahaka complements him. Anubarak complements him. Tassadar definitely complements him. ETC's amazing with Illidan. Rhaegar is also really, all these various picks. Kel'Thuzad was going to be amazing with Illidan. All these picks complement Illidan, which in turn helps the team towards victory. So I think I see what McIntyre's doing here, because none of these characters can carry a game on their own. But if you mold them with the previous, tier 2 and tier 1 heroes, they become strong in their own right.
In that context, yeah, that makes sense to me for Illidan.
I mean, we already said Lunara's map dependent. Leoric and Tyrael don't go in every comp. Illidan doesn't go in every comp. Karazim doesn't go in every comp. I think there's a difference between like tier 4 is like you have to build a specific comp around them, and at that point they're like any other hero. Right. But I think the tier 3 niche ones are like you build a comp around them and they're actually really good.
Yeah. And you'll notice a lot of these characters end up getting taken as counter picks. Like you pick Leoric when you're going up against double tank. You pick Diablo on specific maps because he's really good on small maps that have lots of enclosed spaces. Gul'dan you take on Braxis almost automatically. Falstad is great on big maps. There's a case for all these different heroes on different maps, but you can't just pick them every map like you could with tier 2 and tier 1 heroes. So that's pretty much my final thought on the tier 3. Like none of these are bad heroes. It's just they're very specific in how they need to be picked. Except for Murden. I don't understand. Like Murden just needs some buffs. Like he's not a bad tank. He just doesn't do enough.
I mean, the same with Lucio, and probably Sylvanas.
I feel like
there's nothing wrong with their kits.
I don't think Sylvanas needs any buffs.
No, please no.
Yeah, I don't think Sylvanas needs any buffs. She's just very map specific. And comp specific as well. Like she's probably the best tier 3 that's not Lunara on this list because
she's
of everything she can potentially help your team with.
She's seen a slow, gradual decrease in power though as more heroes have been released, for sure.
Yeah, her damage numbers are they're okay. They're not fantastic.
Keep going.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't have any problems with anybody on this list. Like I said, I was questioning Illidan a little bit, but I guess that makes sense, especially considering who follows, this. So I think it's safe to move on to tier 4 unless Carl or you have anything you want to add.
No, not really too much, but yeah, Illidan, probably the most questionable on that. I don't know, or most controversial. I don't know if it's really controversial. It's just the most you could argue about someone not belonging on that list. Tier 4, we have a ton though. Do you want to make a comment on that? Sorry, you sound like you wanted to make a comment.
Oh, me? No.
Okay. Tier 4, we have a lot to get through. Stitches, Varian, Diva, Chen. Don't say anything, Willie. Tychus, Chromie, Kael'thas, Artanis, Kerrigan, Zeratul, Ragnaros, Zagara, Brightwing, Hammer, Abathur, Medivh, Malfurion, Lily, Tracer, and Asmodan, with the note that theirs are one tricks, niche, and strong if played right, but not always good. And I definitely agree with that with the Tracer here, because she needs shields to really be successful. And I feel like you can kind of say that about Illidan, but he's okay with Rhaegar, while Tracer I don't think it fits well with Rhaegar, or does as well with Rhaegar.
I actually I straight up don't agree with Stitch as being tier 4 right here. I think Stitches provides too much value on every map in order to be considered tier 4. Yes, he does slightly lack in damage, but the control he brings late game with his slam build and coupling that with bile, it is an awful lot of help, and the ability to gain pickoffs late game if you forego the slam build and go fishing hook instead, which is honestly a personal favorite of mine. I love fishing hook because it's so late in the game, your opponents don't really have enough time to adjust to that extra range. Yeah, Diva needs tuned up a bit. Chen they're not going to do anything with Chen. I've given up hope at this point. Like, they don't know what to do with Chen. Just delete them.
They're not going to delete heroes.
They should.
I mean, is there anybody here that you don't think should be here besides Stitches, or anyone who should be higher up from tier 5?
I feel like Chromie, maybe, because I feel like she can carry pretty hard on a really good player.
Right, but she suffers on big maps, though. Like, she really suffers on big maps. Like, unless you get that Sandblast quest completed. But you almost have to... Like, it takes so long, you either have to be ungodly accurate with every single Sandblast you throw, and you have to throw them so constantly, you've got, in order to finish that Sandblast quest, and then you've got a talent into that, the teleport talent at 13, you've either got to forego Time Walker's Pursuit at 1 and take the one where you get a third stack just so you can finish that quest quicker, which forgoes one of the best talents in the game, honestly. It's a vision with a 20-second cooldown. Like, that's quicker than an untalented Oracle, and you can drop it anywhere on the map. So that's really my beef with Chromie. But like on small maps, she's godlike. Maps where people. Oh my God, Kat, you are just hungering for attention tonight. Yeah, small maps, she's godlike. She can consistently get massive value off Dragon's Breath and accumulate Sandblast stacks very effectively. Like, though, I guess the only other one I really kind of disagree with, but again, I'm not going to argue, is Medivh. I really think he should be tier 3 because the value that his shield and being able, and the portals and everything like that, really
Medivh is the definition of the tier 4 description, where it says one trick's niche, strong if played right, not always good. If you have a good Medivh and a coordinated team, he's probably a tier 1 or a tier 2 hero. Probably a tier 2 hero.
I'd say he's tier 2 hero. There's ways you can shut him down, but it's really, really hard.
But if you're in like this hero league, he's debatably a tier 5 hero.
I would wager with that. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
so I think he says niche, strong if played right now is good. Yeah, that's Medivh. That's exactly who Medivh is.
I just don't know what niche Hammer fills.
Protect the hammer.
I mean,
that's such a bad idea, though. Like, no, I love Protect the Hammer when it works, but
You can employ strategies with her on
Curse Nala.
Curse.
Uh,
No,
Warhead.
Immortal.
Yeah, you're right.
Battlefield.
Battlefield. Thank you. Battlefield of Eternity. That's where she's at her strongest usually because it's a small 2-lane map where a lot of fighting takes place in one centralized location. Where if she's able to, sit in a spot for a little while and not get touched, it's going to be a problem, and they're going to have to. You can be the ultimate defense for your immortal, basically.
Yeah.
With hammer on that map.
And like if they don't have a super hard engage comp, Hammer's a god.
Yeah.
But it's tier 4 because hard engage comps are pretty meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say for me personally, I just think there's 2 tier 5 heroes that probably belong in tier 4 simply because of the one trick thing. I'd say Lieutenant Morales and medevac strategies are still viable in some things where you think you can get away with them, especially
if you can get
paired
away
with some
it in
jank.
draft, you can definitely promote some silliness.
I don't think it's great, but I don't think she should be one of the heroes listed down below. And I also think Raynor is one of the few options as a ranged counter pick to dive. I don't think he's a great hero, but I think when it comes to dealing with heroes like Genji and Illidan at a ranged distance, he is one of the better heroes. Really, I mean, you're talking Greymane, Lunar, and Falstad are better than him.
Yeah.
For dealing with people diving on your line. We're not just because obviously he has the displacement round thing. He can, use that for stuns. His damage is very good on single target, which is what a dive usually entails. He kind of beats up Malthael. If Malthael isn't focusing him first, he can put a lot of damage on Malthael very quickly. Especially once you talent in at 13 and stuff. So I'm not trying to make a case that Raynor's a good hero. I just don't think he belongs in the same
5,
dumpster that some of those other heroes there.
We get to tier 5,
yeah,
I'll tell you all about.
Speaking about that dumpster, tier 5 has Zul'jin, Ariel, Lieutenant Morales, Zarya, Cho'Gall, Nova, Valera, Butcher, Samuro, Raynor, Rexar, Murky, Vikings, Probius, and Gazlo.
Zarya is wrong. Zarya's a tier 3 hero.
Okay.
At least.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Did she get a recent change or something that messed her up in the last week?
No,
Because I was very surprised at that too.
She doesn't fit in the meta.
Yeah.
She doesn't fit in the meta right now.
I feel like if Tassadar gets banned out though, which is kind of likely, that she's a decent substitute for that.
I don't know, but Tassadar does too much.
Well, that's why it's a tier 1 hero, and we're arguing for her to not be tier 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
she shouldn't be tier 5 anyways.
She shouldn't be. Well, that's what we're saying.
That's our argument is why.
Yeah.
At least tier 4.
Definitely at least.
Definitely tier 3. Definitely tier 3.
I'm with Carl on this. She should definitely be a tier 3. She has too much protection.
You can't tell me Zarya belongs in the same tier as Gazlo.
Right. I'm honestly gonna. I just noticed this too. Rexar's one trick pony. He's tier 4 because he's amazing on Braxis Holdout and always will be. He's pretty good on Dragon Shatter too, but he's amazing on a 2-lane map where you can put Misha on that thing, and she serves as not only a vision beacon for the beacon, she serves as somebody who can stall out a cap. It's insanely good there. I would say she has to be listed as a one-trick hero.
Yeah, the other one
Misha,
that
is.
really surprises me is Ariel. Like, yeah, I understand that her in solo queue is not the strongest hero. Is like, yeah, if you're able to be in a coordinated team in Team League, and you're for sure pairing her up with a Evala, Gul'dan, or something like that, yeah, she comes a little bit stronger. But I feel like even in solo queue, she's a pretty strong support, and I mean, she's below Lily and Brightwing, and I feel like their healing output just isn't nearly as good as Ariel's. But I guess it's
I think Ariel and
focused
Lily.
on the Hope generation.
don't fill the same role. So you can't really compare them.
Mhm.
Yeah, Lily's there to blind people. Like, that's why you pick her. That's why she's a
Lily is almost like a Tyrande style support.
Yeah, she's really gravitated that way. You take her when you want to disrupt the enemy engage with Water Dragon or prevent people from fleeing.
Yeah.
And the blinds. I mean, you take her as a melee heavy. Like, screw
Yeah.
you for picking so much melee.
Exactly. She's a counter pick. She's never a solo support. She's there for the utility she brings. So, like I said, kind of in the Tyrande zone, even though they do very different things.
Guys, I'm going to say something kind of controversial. I don't think Ariel's that good anymore.
She's definitely nerfed.
Yeah, you definitely feel the nerf on her, especially with Rhaegar definitely getting picked over most other supports, including Uther. Like the casts we've been doing, we've been seeing Rhaegar definitely go above Ariel. But I want to note, screw you, McIntyre. If Cho'Gall gets buffed, I'm pointing my finger at you because he's already annoying. He's already annoying enough to deal with, but if he gets another round of buffs, man, and I see a whole bunch of.
This is for solo queue. That's the whole point. So Cho'Gall is he should not even be on this list. He should be in his own tier called the Cho'Gall tier because you do not solo pick Cho'Gall.
Yeah. So
Hi, Charlie. Have you ever played Hero League here recently?
I'm saying, like, you shouldn't, though. That should be the definition of the absolute worst hero to solo because you don't know who the hell you're playing with.
So I think if you're making a list of supports, let's say I need a tier 1 support, some tier 2 supports, some tier 3 supports, tier 4 supports, some tier 5 supports, I could see Ariel being a tier 5 support.
Yeah. That's my point. Like,
But
I don't think she's that strong anymore. And the main reason why I'll say is just because Hope Regeneration got nerfed, and depending on other people for your mana was already a risky proposition as it was. And now that it's worse, it feels really, really bad to heal with her when you don't have the absolute top tier damage like on your team.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But, I mean, Crystal Egg is still pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
It's still pretty great ultimate.
I think the only other one I'm really surprised about on here is Butcher. I feel like he could be in tier 4. Just because it's
so again,
this
is made for masters.
There's way too many ways to stuff Butcher. Like we saw that game tonight with that last game with Bacon where I played Butcher, and like it did not go the way I wanted it to at all. You know, there's some games where you just have an absolutely amazing Butcher game, but that's usually because your opponents are bad. If your opponents are halfway competent, well, you saw what happened. I had stunned, blinded, like they would just chain everything on me, and blinded Butcher is just dead meat.
Yeah, look.
Butcher and Gazlo are like the anti-Kel'Thuzad.
What's that?
Said Butcher and Gazlo are the anti-Kel'Thuzads, where they're really good in bronze and they're really bad in masters.
Yeah.
God, you're right on that too. Because bronze and silver Gazlos are.
They carry games, man. They carry games.
They do. I can't even argue with that.
No, you can't. 'Cause it's true.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, that's McIntyre's tier list. I think it's really interesting. We got some good discussion about it, and I'm interested to see how that changes and evolves as we go forward in the meta. But we did have week 8 of HGC, and we had some really interesting results, would be the word, maybe. EU Tricked beat Liquid 3-1. Expert beat Plain Dex 3-1. Fnatic 3-0 TGG.
So that like that was an exciting result.
I know. Dig 3-1 Zealots. Liquid 3-1 Plain Ducks. And then Fnatic 3-0 Expert. But if you watch that series, it was actually a very close 3-0. Like they were Teamfighter 2 away from at least 2 of those games going their way. And that might be the series to actually watch I think, out of all the EU series, because it really, I feel like, showed the growth of Expert, and also just that Fnatic is far and above everyone else right now.
Yeah.
Every time you watch Expert, you feel like they're one step away from breaking through to like being on Fnatic's level. You can feel how close they are, and like how much, like when I watch them, I almost feel the pain of their losses, because I'm rooting for them so bad to take that next step at this point, and they just look maddeningly close. Like they keep making all the right plays, and then they come up against Fnatic, and Fnatic's just, Fnatic.
And it's getting to this point in the standings where. What?
I had cut off Zex earlier, by the way.
No, it's fine.
And it's getting to the point in the standings now where we're 2 weeks away of league play, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're a really limited amount of time.
We get this week, and then we get a short week next week, because usually there's only like a Friday and a Saturday for final week.
Yeah, but both Fnatic and Dig, Fnatic's 11-1, Dig's 8-4. Expert is third place at 6-6. It's going to be very hard for them to qualify for BlizzCon that way. I think they're going to have to qualify through the playoffs most likely.
Yeah.
There's 14 games in a season, right? So
yes,
they would have to win out. Dig would have to lose out, and then I don't know how the tiebreaker goes for them.
Yes, I don't know either.
And that was when we were talking about doing an on the bubble discussion earlier, that the tiebreakers were where I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Well, let's just say Expert's
I cut Zex off so many times.
Expert's road to BlizzCon is difficult. Zex.
No, hold on. I'm just looking something up real quick. Okay. Keep going. I'll have an answer for you here in a second.
Yeah, and the thing is the difference between the third spot with Expert and Liquid at number 6 is one game.
Yeah.
6-6 for Team Expert. Liquid's at 5-6. Tricked is at 6-5, and Zealots is at 5-6 as well. So these next 2 weeks are going to be absolutely critical for these teams and how they want to position themselves for the playoffs, and for Tricked and Expert to try to somehow leapfrog Dig. But Dig has really kind of, I think, collected themselves from the missteps in the start of the post mid-season, not mid-season, but post EU class, or what was
Western
it?
Clash.
Western Clash. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but yeah, Dig has kind of picked themselves up off that where they kind of looked like they had misstepped some, and Liquid is just fallen off. Like, to be honest.
Hate playing Ducks.
All right, so the tiebreaker, if I understand how it's going to work out, is it comes down to how the matches, the overall matches at first. So, Fnatic, or I'm sorry, Dig and Expert, both are 5-5 against each other. So after that, I believe it comes down to total win losses. Mm-hmm. So in this case, excuse me, it's actually right. So that is actually going to be even closer. So like Expert, yeah, it's basically comes to Expert not only has to win out and Dig has to lose out. Expert has to like 3-0 everybody just for the better score. Like I don't think they can drop a single map.
No. Because if you win out, you'll get 6 games. You'll get 6 wins.
Right.
If Dig loses out, they can get a max 4 wins, which means they tie. So Dig has to lose 1 game, and then I don't know how much the losses count. I don't know if it's like wins first and then they go to losses, or the total differential, or what.
Right, that's what I was talking about. The total wins losses. Like Dig is overall 28-20, and Expert is 26-21.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Dig's at +8 and Expert's at +5. Which, if you win out and they lose out, you're necessarily at least at +7.
Yeah.
Right.
And as far as the rest of the rankings in Europe, it looks like Plain Ducks and Team Good Guys will most likely be in the Crucible. I think Team Good Guys is definitely in the Crucible. Plain Ducks still has a shot at pulling themselves out of this, but Liquid's at 5 and 6, and Plain Ducks is at 3 and 8. So it's going to be a tough road for them. I think they're looking towards being able to at least pick their opponent for the Crucible.
Good Guys cannot make it out of Crucible. They can't get 3 more wins.
And speaking about other people who can't make themselves out of Crucible, we're going to go over to the NA side of things. Even in death at 1 and 10, they are locked into that Crucible spot. So they're going to have to play for their HGC lives, and it'll be interesting to see how they do there.
To the surprise of nobody.
Yep.
Yeah, Heroes Hearth team is looking pretty strong, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Even in Death can stave off them. But Heroes Hearth is
Next week,
stacked with
tickets
a
by
few
Tempo Storm was
X-Pros.
apparently free.
Yeah, that's fair. Tempo Storms, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, let's talk about these upsets of this week in HGC of week 8. Superstar Gaming 3-0'd GFE.
What gaming?
Space Station Gaming.
Space Station. Okay. Space Station Gaming.
Yeah.
Sorry. You gotta spell that out for me. Everyone changes their
Yeah.
name. Space
Yeah,
Station
no.
Gaming.
Samsung Gaming.
Samsung
As-
Gaming. Space Station Gaming.
When you said TGG earlier, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna spell those out next
Yeah.
week.
Okay. Space Station Gaming. That was formerly No Tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure. I'm not
positive.
Sure. But yeah, they 3-0'd GFE. I didn't see these games, but it sounded like they kind of made it look easy.
No,
From what I heard.
it was silly. That was a silly game. Like, I don't want to say GFE got clowned, but they got clowned. Like, none of the games were close, in my opinion. That I remember from that set. There was one where like it got reversed. Like it was an attempted core, and they defended with like 2% left. I might be thinking of the EU.
No, you're thinking of what's it called?
Alex wasn't casting either, so.
Right. But
So I don't know what's going on with Gale Force right now. Everybody has bad weeks. They didn't have a good week.
They had a really bad week.
Yeah, they at pretty much one of the most important times for them to solidify their spot, they didn't get it done. That's really all there is to it. I mean, I can't say I'm not gonna bury Gale Force because they've been fairly consistent pretty much since the start of HGC. They've had little dips here and there, but for the most part, they've been consistently at the top, and I have a hard time like burying them yet. you know?
Yeah,
I feel like every time I thought they were losing a step, they come back and just blow out Roll20 or Freedom or something in an important game, and then.
Yeah, the problem though was just that series with Freedom was so awkward. I want to say, and okay, I want to be fair. We dragged Freedom pretty hard for their core throw on during Western Clash. We gotta drag GFE for that core throw. That was just I don't know if that was necessarily the wrong call, but like their execution was just bad.
Yeah. They took a lot of fights they didn't need to take that entire series. Like the game on, I believe it was Battlefield, or maybe it was Infernal Shrines, or Cursed Hollow rather. I can't remember which one, but they just took this really awkward fight for no reason. Down like 3v4. They like started this weird initiation. I don't know.
And then,
they had a couple moments that were just really like rookie kind of things.
Yeah, and the thing that really hurts them the most about losing that series is now Team Freedom is 2-0 heads up against GFE, and if they end up tied, which is kind of likely, they're going to lose that tiebreaker and end up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to rely on Freedom losing games and them winning and GFE winning out to get that guaranteed spot for BlizzCon and not have to play for it.
Well, to be fair, that's not a bad bet to make. It is
Freedom's 8-3.
Freedom's only difficult. Like Freedom's hardest game left is Tempo, and Tempo's like slumping hard.
Freedom remembers that their team Freedom at the worst moments.
Yeah, but they made it to Western Clash.
Okay, what did they do at Western Clash?
None of the NA teams did anything at Western Clash.
Exactly. That's
right? As far as being an NA team, Team Freedom's not bad. They're pretty good.
You'll never drag those words out of my mouth at any point.
Especially not into the microphone, apparently. Anyways, I feel like this is pretty much the most wide open NA's been at the most important time in a while. I can't lock into any one of these teams. Would it really be surprising if Tempo won out and somehow ended up second? No, because it's happened before. It happened before the end of last brawl, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
So I mean, like, I can share Willie's sentiment not trusting Team Freedom to hold that spot, but I mean they looked more focused than Gale Force did. That's for sure. They looked like they wanted it a lot more, and they're playing like a team that should keep it. But the NA is so bipolar. I can't sit here and comfortably tell you any of one of these teams definitely gonna secure their spot.
Exactly. And
the only NA team
is the only one that looks decent for an NA team.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Roll20 is the only NA team that's not playing like an NA team. And
they're still playing like an NA team.
Well, they're not putting us through this emotional roller coaster of, they look really strong this week, and apparently they had
even in Death took a game off them.
Shut up.
I will always argue that one game means nothing.
I don't even know what to say to that, Jimmy. Like, of all the teams they dropped their streak to, let's drop one against Even in Death. Like, Carl's right. Game.
I'm not a Roll20 fan at all, but one game doesn't mean anything. Top teams drop games to bad teams all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong on that. But yeah, like my point was like Roll20 is not putting us through this emotional roller coaster of questioning what's going on internally with the team. They come back from, the Western Clash break just firing on all cylinders. Like every single game they've played has just looked clean.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There's been no question of, are these guys on the same page or anything? Could they just be riding the back of, one person? No, like the whole team looks strong right now. And like maybe they're NA's great hope for relevance again.
Look, they've been fun to watch since the Chew 8 debacle, and I'm glad that they've had all of this progress and they've maintained themselves as a team and continued to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just as bipolar as any other NA team, though. They're capable of looking like absolute trash on any given weekend, and you just don't really see that from Fnatic. If that's the team, if that's the bar, then NA and pretty much a lot of other teams are nowhere close. So I don't know what's Fnatic's breakfast.
Fnatic's like best in the world, though. Like
I know,
Fnatic's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. They're the bar, and like. If you want it to be interesting, someone's got to start getting close to this bar because Fnatic's been running away with it. And they play them tough in these tournaments usually, but
no, I agree. But really quickly at the bottom, we kind of talked about this in the EU, but in the NA, interestingly enough, Lag Force, formerly Naventic, and Superstars are still in contention for that last Crucible spot. And depending on how it plays out, Lag Force could finally not have to play Crucible this time around. But I don't even know who they play next. I'm going to look that up really quickly and see what their schedule is.
So in week 9,
they play GFE.
Superstars plays Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
Lag Force plays GFE. Likely both will lose. And then
I just had a quick question about the Crucible. Does the team in 7th place play the team in 1st place or the team in 2nd place?
They choose who they play.
Oh, 7 gets the choice before?
Yeah.
Oh. Darn.
And then Superstars plays GFE week 10, which should in theory Superstars should lose, but GFE, assuming GFE doesn't continue to choke.
And then Lag Force.
Lag Force plays Even in Death, which in theory they should win.
In the toddler slap box.
Yeah, that's going to be the ultimate I've already turned the stream off matchup.
But
it might actually be really important.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
If Lag Force can be playing their way out of a Crucible spot and Superstars falls in, yeah, that could actually be pretty entertaining.
But as far as entertaining games this week, we've picked out a game for you from EU and a game from NA that you should be watching because of how important they are. But Tricked vs. Expert is going to be happening Friday, September 15th at 9 a.m. Pacific. Go back and listen a few minutes ago to understand how important this match is for both teams.
Yeah, they're basically right next to each other. It's the division 1 through 5 is very volatile. It's going to be an important matchup to tune into if you're concerned about where EU is going to end up.
We didn't say this in notes, but why don't we pick who's going to win the series? I'm going to go 3-2 Expert.
Yeah, I'm on that Expert train. I never trust Trick, but I mean Trick's been pretty good lately.
P-Flame-G?
I think Expert wins, but I really haven't watched EU this season, so I'm not the best expert.
Zex?
You're not an expert. I got it for you, Jim.
Got
Don't worry.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, Bad Benny. I gotta go Trick 3-2.
Oh, there we go.
I don't.
Tricked is riding a lot of momentum right now.
Tricked is on a 2-match loss streak.
There's still not. Okay, everybody in EU is on a loss streak except for. Hold on. Mr. Smart, I can read numbers. Engineer.
I'm just staring at the standing sheet, and you're like, Tricked is on a hot streak, and I'm looking at this big fat -2.
I didn't say.
Oh my goodness!
A hot streak. I said they were riding a lot of momentum. They still have key wins over some, teams that were considered to be better than them, and they've had a couple of close series, which against teams that should have just blown them up.
Trick shouldn't be riding a 2-game or 2-game losing streak either. They beat Liquid on Friday.
Yeah.
They beat Liquid
Blizzard.
3-1.
Blizzard, fix your thing.
Yeah, now.
And I know the last time they lost was to Fnatic, and I think their other loss is to Fnatic, and then they have one random loss, I think, to Expert earlier on.
They lost to Zealots 3-2.
Oh, they lost to Zealots. Okay, I forgot about that one. And then 2 losses to Fnatic, I believe.
And lost to Dig.
Last week beat Liquid, and that was their only game that week. So, there's no losing skid. Get up.
Well, to be fair, Blizzard's website
I'm staring at Blizzard's own data, but apparently Blizzard's data was wrong.
But as far as NA, we have Gale Force versus Roll20 Sunday, September 17th at 2 o'clock Pacific. I mean, do we really need to explain why this is an important match?
Yeah, because if Gale Force loses, they pretty much permanently fall out of first place in NA.
Yes.
Roll20 is not going to drop a game the rest of this season, and if it does, it'll be really, really weird, and it'll really shake my faith in their ability to move on to BlizzCon.
Yeah. And they have to keep pace with Freedom because Freedom's playing Even in Death, and that's pretty much guaranteed win, unfortunately, for them.
But if Roll20 wins this, they lock up first place, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Barring some, they all get in a plane and it crashes into the ocean type.
Jesus Christ!
Holy crap! That took a dark turn.
Can't you say the same thing about Gale Force though?
Well, if
No.
no, because if Gale Force wins and Team Freedom wins, NA first place in NA becomes a giant mess.
It'll be a 3-way tie.
Yeah, and then I believe it goes based on match records and then total win losses, but in that case, Roll20 would still lead them all, having played the least amount of games, 31-12. But you never want to go to tiebreakers. You want to lock it away so you can focus, on your next opponent, and then not have to worry about a playoff.
What's your
So
ticket to
you
BlizzCon?
can, punch your ticket to BlizzCon, start your boot camp as quickly as possible, so you can be ready for it.
That's fair.
I'm done talking.
No, that's fair.
I don't have anything to add to that. Just watch the series.
Yeah, watch those series.
If you like HGC, this is everything you want.
Yep,
It's
absolutely.
2 teams playing for everything.
Elena just mentioned that the 2% core game was GFE versus Freedom.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I remember they cut to Cure after the cast, and he was reviewing that play.
Yeah.
So, and he actually did a really good job of breaking down that play. It was pretty enlightening to watch.
Yeah, it was really interesting because the Muradin, played by Keegan Caffeine, he got cocooned, and the only thing that could prevent him from actually not killing the core, because it was at 2%, was the Horrify, and that came off cooldown maybe 2 or 3 seconds before it.
Well, they had the Anubarak stuns, and they had ETC slide. So they ended up they purposely dropped the Horrify and the Anubarak stun at the same time, and then ETC did his slide afterwards, and they just chained him to death. Like he explained how it went down in comms and everything like that, and it was really good to listen to. It really opened up my eyes on that kind of late game panic mode decision making goes down.
Yeah, if you only have a few minutes to watch of HGC this week, I would go review that end of that match. I think it was the third match. It was on Cursed Hollow, I want to say. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think it was Cursed Hollow. That sounds right.
Okay. But yeah, that's our week in review of HGC. We talked about the tier list from McIntyre as well, but unless anyone has any closing thoughts, I think we're going to wrap up episode 117 of the Heroes Power Hour. Make sure to check us out, patreon.com/heroespower. Helps support the show and all the costs associated with running this show with all the different hosts and software issues that do come up. It does help towards fixing those things as needed. Make sure to check us out on iTunes and Google Play. 5-star reviews help us out a bunch. And Zex, what's up?
Okay, hold on. Elena just also dropped this in chat that Blizzard, there was a certain incident with a certain Zealots player this weekend, and apparently Blizzard reviewed that thread and gave that particular Zealots player a 7-day ban. No HGC for him this weekend, and Zealots has to play a sub.
What happened? I have no idea.
Okay, so
he was
fill me in.
He was basically being toxic, and then he trolled and danced while his team was team fighting.
Yeah, and then burned all, and it was on Munefair's stream.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
I think Mune was queuing in EU.
Yeah,
He does that.
He was. But yeah, it was above and beyond the call of typical flaming. There was a team fight they could have won, and he just stood there.
That's really bad. Okay, yeah, I didn't know about that. Thanks for pointing that out, Elena. That's and I'm also glad to see Blizzard swiftly dropping down the hammer. Well met.
Okay. So sorry, Jamie.
No, that's good. That was a good story to throw in there. But throughout the week, check out blizzpro.com to hear the newest episodes and stay up to date on all the current Blizzard news. YouTube.com/BlizzPro for all the video episodes, past episodes. Go if you want to see the archives. Check out that Illidan episode with Twiz. It's really good.
Wow.
Also, check us out on Discord, discord.blizpro.com, and all the other great shows. West March Workshop for Diablo 3, Payload Podcast for Overwatch, Well Met for Hearthstone, and Arcane Analysis for World of Warcraft. I'm going to tease you guys for a little bit, but make sure to check out heroesofthestorm.blizpro.com on Friday. Just do that.
Why?
Just because I told you to.
Just because? You told me?
Do we have a time Friday or just on Friday?
Is that 11:30 p.m.?
Midday.
Midday?
Even
Okay.
day.
I wasn't sure if you were middaying us or midnighting us.
Midday.
You had your midnight voice. So.
I did.
It was kind of making me tired there for a minute. I'm like, buddy, you're putting me to sleep with your bedroom voice.
There we go.
Your bedroom voice.
Special announcement, heroesofthestorm.blizpro.com. Friday.
There you go. Balrog fan, where can people find you and what are you up to this week?
Find me on Twitter at that beautiful link below. For audio listeners, it's Balrog Fan BP. We've been doing our thing with Nexus commentaries, trying to do the chair league stuff. I'm sure Willie will talk about it, so I won't get too into the details. Just know that I'm trying to learn how to cast, and it's kind of fun to see me screw stuff up and do stuff right. So maybe come check us out. You might have some fun. Why not?
There you go.
That's all I got.
How about you?
Yeah, you can check us out this Thursday night. I believe 8 p.m. is our first game for the Chair League playoffs at twitch.tv/Nexus Commentaries. You can check our Twitter out that posts VODs of every game we cast at Nexus Comms Hots. God, that is so difficult to say. I should have really just picked a better Twitter handle.
It sounds like
you can change Twitter handles.
I know I can change it, but I can't change the overlays.
Okay. P-Flame G, how about you?
This week, I'm designing a Butler Matrix.
You
Okay.
have to.
I'm
not an engineer, man.
I mean, it takes 8 signals in, it puts 8 signals out.
You can't explain that.
Like
What's
dollar bills?
Single?
Signal.
Signal. Okay.
You said I heard okay, so I'm not crazy.
That
I
makes
heard
a lot more-
singles.
I heard singles too. I was like, wait, is he building a stripping robot? Because I'm.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, as for myself, at TJ Tart on Twitter and Twitch, this has been episode 117 of Heroes Power. We will see you next week in Nexus. Stay tight.